Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all fandoms, welcome to the Ferret and Raccoon podcast, episode 125. I am the Indigenous Owl.
And I'm the Uncut Raccoon. And we're finally in the spooky season.
Yeah.
October is finally here. The month that I honestly feel everyone was looking forward to some extent. Yeah, the little pause there. But,
I'm just I don't really care for October too much.
No, that's fine. I mean, October is kind of that month in which everyone's like, in September, they're like, oh, I can't wait for October.
No, that's true. People don't care about September ever.
And then once October hits, everyone's like, man, I can't wait for December. Yeah. It's like they completely skip a whole month, which is understandable. Not much happens in November. Everyone...
Apart from fireworks and things like that.
Fireworks, but not everyone celebrates that.
No.
Not everyone goes out, and I think America have their own thing, which is on another day, which I can't remember the exact day of that, but
yeah,
whatever. The Guy Fawkes is very much an exclusive English tradition.
Yeah.
But we have some fun podcasts. There's going to be 2 in October, and had to do a lot of planning for these ones to make them extra spooky to some extent, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Or seasonally appropriate. I guess.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll kick it off by asking you, Al, what have you been up to over the last few weeks or so?
So in terms of like things I've watched, I managed to watch one film and a Netflix series.
Oh wow.
So I'll talk about the film first. So I went to go see the film Hustlers. For those of you that probably have no idea what it is, it's the film on the that's been advertising with Jennifer Lopez and Cardi B. Oh,
I thought you were going to talk about that other film where it had the other, like, Anne Hathaway in it.
Oh, that one. Oh, no, not that film.
Is that not called Hustlers?
I actually don't know. I can't remember what that film was called.
Yeah, okay.
It might be, but yeah.
Go on.
So basically the storyline, it's basically about... so Jennifer Lopez acts as a character called Ramona, and there's another actress as well, which I should shout out, Constance Wu. She acts as a character called Destiny, who's the main character, and Ramona's the second main character. And basically they're both strippers, and Destiny is interested in like how like Ramona makes money with the skills Ramona has. Like, I think she's the one that brings the most money, so she wants to like learn off her and become better at the job. And basically it revolves around like their clients, which are people that work in Wall Street. So it's set in, I think it's 2004, so it's working around like them trying to get the most money they can, but then also it goes to the whole, it's based on the true event of what happened in 2008, which was it was like a credit crunch, like recession, where people were losing money, business were going bust basically, so they had to find like another method of making money out of the Wall Street people that kind of took advantage of them as well, which there was a specific part where like Destiny was given a lap dance to this guy, and he promised her he would give her like $300, and he gave her like 60, and he tricked her. So they would try to find a way to kind of work around different methods of, instead of like lap dancing, stripping and whatnot, they try to find a different method of it without going into too much depth of the film. Overall, the film was okay. I think it did the most it can for this plot. I did like the fact that it did go into like different years, so like 2004, then it went to 2008, and then after it kind of was set as well around Destiny talking about her life as a stripper as well. So it did kind of, it was mainly like a flashback of her character and Ramona as well and their friendship. So pretty much, yeah, it was an okay film. It's not a film for everyone, but it's, if you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't.
It's interesting though, given the what it follows and that for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just still trying to think about what that other film is, but
what, the one with Anne Hathaway?
Yeah, I think it's Anne Hathaway.
Is it the one where they
it's Hustlers, isn't it? The Hustlers or something?
Is it?
Or something to do with hustling or scamming people or con artists or something like that.
Is it with like it's with the Jewellery, isn't it?
Maybe. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Yeah, well, probably, maybe, I don't know. And then the other the other Netflix series I was watching was She's Gotta Have It, and it's by Spike Lee. So there is a 1986 film that he did as well, of the same thing pretty much, but it's just like a series that he's done up to date. of it.
Okay.
So basically it's about a woman called Nola, and she is a young artist, and it's basically about her trying to find herself and trying to pursue a career as being an artist. So it kind of revolves around her friendship groups and her, I think she's actually like obsessed with having a lot of sex. She has like 3 different partners she sees at the same time. There's one businessman she sees, and then there's a guy that's a photographer, and a guy that's like a hipster, that's like he loves his trainers and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, so
are the boyfriends white?
No, I think the businessman is a black guy. Yeah, then the photographer is a black guy, and the hipster is, I think he's half Puerto Rican, half black.
That's surprising for Spike Lee.
And and then so that's kind of mainly the storyline anyway. The film, I would say. Basically, the storyline is exactly the same in the film, but I would say the film isn't as good as the series. I feel like the series is really good. I really enjoy it. It's a fun series. Definitely, I would say if you want to like research it, have a look and see, and maybe watch it if you like. That's pretty much it for the most part.
Okay, fair enough. I don't really bother with Spike Lee, so that's a no from me.
Oh, okay.
It's fine. It makes sense. The reason I asked about the race of the boyfriends is because Spike Lee has kind of been on a massive hate train to white people, so I was just wondering if there was more of that in this now.
Oh, but, really? Okay.
Yeah, just given his last few films, like Black Klansman, and just the way he speaks about people, or kind of stitches people up on social media and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Spike Lee I don't think is all there personally, but
right, okay.
Enough of that. Well, not to be enough of you. I mean,
it's fine. That's
cool. I
cool.
wasn't trying to be rude.
Yeah, no.
But
fine.
I was meant to get more stuff done for the most part. I just didn't. I had so much stuff come up and get done. But I did technically watch a bigger series, and I am still watching a few series. One which has only just started and is perfectly timed for October. And all I will say about it is that it is a perfect blast from the past. The only main thing I managed to watch, which took me a while because I took my time to watch this, was The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance.
Okay.
Season 1, I guess you can call it, if they get a season 2, if they even bother to do a season 2.
Yeah.
This is essentially the prequel series to the original Dark Crystal film that came out in 1982 by Jim Henson Company, person who did The Muppets and Sesame Street to some extent. And it's basically the prequel before that film. And if you've seen the original Dark Crystal film, you know that things aren't great where that film starts.
Okay.
It's hard to explain, but basically the only issue I have with this series is, without getting into too much detail, because obviously I can go on and on and on about setting up this fantasy world, because I think if you haven't, this is a good introduction to get into the series if you're interested in practical effects, special effects, costume design, puppetry. It's all there. It's basically a puppet show, essentially. And a return to this world after about over 20 years, well, almost 40 years to some extent. And it's interesting because when the series is basically setting up the first film, it's not that great. It's very predictable. There's a point where one of the characters, if you've seen the original film, you're basically like, hey, why does he have both of his eyes? In the Dark Crystal film, he only has one eye. So obviously you know what's coming. Gotta do that setup and a couple other things where they do introduce new characters, and the problem is, it's like, hey, you weren't in the Dark Crystal. I wonder what's going to happen to this character by the end of the season. So there's stuff like that which kind of holds it back from being its own entity and enjoyable. I kind of wish they would have just done like a one-off story.
Yeah.
Like do a prequel, but have it have no connection to how, I guess, the Dark Crystal begins. But when it does do its own thing and focuses on its main characters and, the characters that I guess we know and love, it's pretty strong in what it does. Because essentially it is a story about like the collapse of like an empire, essentially. Essentially an uprising. Because we have these two characters. We have Gelflings, which are like these kind of 4-foot tall elf-like puppets basically, and then we have the Skeksis, which are like these 7-foot tall, horrible vulture-looking monster things,
Right.
who are essentially... I'm trying to explain the plot of the Dark Crystal without confusing people or getting too deep.
Yeah.
Who are essentially looking after the crystal, which
Yeah.
gives the world of Thra life.
Yeah.
Essentially, these Skeksis have essentially taken advantage of the Dark Crystal and abused it for their own needs, essentially making themselves somewhat immortal. And they've basically been pretending that they're the good guys, the Guardians, and the Gelflings don't know anything about this until something happens where word spreads and the Gelflings essentially uprise. And it's a whole situation dealing with what are they going to do, a power struggle between two races, basically.
Okay.
And it's pretty interesting. The puppetry is fantastic when almost everything is practical. When it's a character, it's literally a character being puppeted or moved in some way. The Skeksis are literally these, like I said, these weird hunched over vulture-like creatures. And they're pretty intimidating. They don't look too intimidating, but I said they're supposed to be about 7 foot tall. And yeah, if you look at them, like just type in Skeksis. I can't spell it for you, sorry.
Right.
But you'll see like what I mean by like these horrible monster things. And the voice cast is actually surprising. I was super surprised by a bunch of the cast. You have see, I'm forgetting names already. I know
don't worry.
Mark Hamill voices a character in there as well, surprisingly. You had, was it Taron Egerton's? He was in, he's in Kingsman, and the recent Robin Hood film. Was it Tanya something Joy? She was in like The Witch and Thoroughbreds. And there's a bunch of other people in there as well. Some very surprising casting. Even Andy Samberg is there playing a very surprising character. And I was like, really? Like, when you see the character he voices, it's like, really? You got Andy Samberg to do that character? But it's a very interesting series. If you like practical effects, if you like just something that you can get invested in a world, it's great. And even the main characters as well. We basically follow, like, 3 Gelflings who are essentially all outcasts and are all in different positions. One is, like, the Royal Guard for the Skeksis. One is a subspecies that lives underground who has to go to the top to essentially save the world, and the other one is like royalty who is conflicted with wanting to know and wanting to stop the Skeksis. So it's pretty interesting, as well as a lot of other characters that appear in the series. It gets pretty dark at some point. That was surprising. Although I hinted to the fact that people die or characters die, and it's not. And there's a particular scene at the very end where I was like, good lord, are you allowed to show that?
Oh, right.
They did kind of shy away from it, but it's very clear what a character is doing to another character. And it's like, oh, this maybe isn't so great for children. I mean, it is called The Dark Crystal after all. But I would recommend it. If you haven't, if you've never watched the original film, maybe watch this so you won't be spoilt to some extent. It's a very gorgeous looking series. And does and doesn't explain what the hell is going on in the world. The original film, the biggest problem with it is it doesn't explain anything.
Oh, okay.
You're kind of just thrown into things and you're just like, what the hell is a Skeksi? Like, who is this character?
Yeah.
Like, what is the dot? It's never really explained. Here, it's kind of explained, but you kind of get used to their world.
Right, yeah.
So I'd say it's a good starting point. I don't know if there's going to be a season 2, like I said, but I would say watch it. It's pretty great. Surprising because I hated the trailer when it first came out, but I actually really enjoyed it. It's not
that's good.
It's not perfect. I didn't like some of the camera work. I didn't like some of the CGI.
Oh, okay.
But it's worth watching, I would say.
So let's mention it's not going to be as bad as Cats, though.
No, it's not going to be as Cats because the thing is, the Cat is all CGI and not great CGI.
Yeah.
This is practical effects. When you see a Skeksi, it is always a physical thing.
Yeah.
You know that Skeksi is real.
Yeah.
It's like one person puppeteering a Skeksi, meanwhile someone else is doing the voice. It's all real, pretty much. Like, there's special effects which sometimes don't look great because I wish they would rather have done what they did in the original film, where when they needed a distant shot of one of the Gelfling characters, they just had like a child in the costume just do some actions.
When did the original film come out?
I think it was 1982.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a few shots when you can kind of tell it's kind of like a child dressed as
Oh,
like
right,
the character,
yeah.
and I kind of wish they would do that.
Yeah.
Because there's a few points where the CGI doesn't look great.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Other than that, it's pretty strong, I would say. I was pleasantly surprised by it. But yeah, it's really hard to talk about the Dark Crystal without going into detail. I couldn't have just said it's good without really explaining it. But unfortunately, with something like that, there's so much explanation. I yeah, I can't really explain too much more because then we're going to go on for another 30 minutes or so. But let's move on to our actual stuff, and we're going to talk about the last fortnight for the most part. And the main thing we're going to be talking about is Sony's State of Play that happened on the 24th of September 2019.
Oh dear.
Oh, yeah. Simply put, I think the general consensus is very disappointing.
Yeah.
Like, what a waste of time. Like, you skipped E3, you basically copied Nintendo's Direct formula, even the animated segments, the way they animate and, you know, segue into other things.
Yeah.
For like, what, 15 minutes of adverts?
Yeah.
And then a Last of Us 2 trailer?
Yeah, it was dumb.
I mean, do you want to just talk about the whole thing as a whole first and then get into trailers, or like what do you want to do? Because
I think we should just skip to the trailers.
Okay, I mean, if we're gonna skip to the trailers, I just want to get my consensus on this thing.
Sure thing.
If you think about things, kind of adding this and the fact that Sony was not at E3 as well, Sony hasn't had any exclusive system sellers this year. If you really think about it, and I'm not counting Crash Team Racing, Nitro Refueled, or the Medieval.
Yeah.
They are remakes. They are already existing games.
Yeah.
And Death Stranding comes out like next month. I don't know if that's going to be a system seller. That game could flop.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say that's a system seller. Days Gone, everyone forgot about. That game was rubbish in my opinion.
Okay.
The problem is like, I think Sony has invested so much money and time into The Last of Us 2 that I honestly think that they've neglected their brand and other projects.
Right.
To the point where it actually shows here.
Right.
Where they have nothing.
Yeah.
Like, they literally have nothing to show for it. Yeah, of course, I'm sure someone is working on a game for Sony.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's things being in development. Yeah, they're working on PS5. I get that. But as of right now, they don't have much to show for it. So their impact on this year has been nothing. Like, when people think back to 2019, they ain't gonna think about, yeah, Sony owned that year.
No. The fact I didn't even turn up to E3, there's something wrong. Something clearly wrong.
Something must be wrong.
Yeah.
And I do have a slight theory. That's one of my main theories, is I think they've invested too much time into The Last of Us 2. I also think Days Gone has something to do with this as well.
Right.
Days Gone, I think, was basically The Last of Us filler.
Okay.
I think that was meant to be a holdover. And then they were like, okay, October we're going to Last of Us 2. And Naughty Dog went, no, we're trying to make the greatest game of all time. We need more time.
Right.
And Sony went, oh, okay, sure, we'll support that, but like, when's the game coming out? Because like, we need that game. We don't have anything. Like, no one is even close to making us anything, because we all know the PS4 is going to die by the next generation, as in after 2020.
Yeah.
Because PS5 is very
on the
close.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, what, the PS4 has been around for what, not even 8 years?
Yeah.
What a great system. But yeah, and that's the thing as well. I think also at the same time, they're kind of stuck in a situation where they're basically waiting for Microsoft to reveal what the next Xbox is going to be, so they can outdo them in terms of like specs and performance.
Yeah, of course.
So they're really in a pretty odd position where they can't do anything.
Yeah.
Because Xbox or Microsoft could just announce the next Xbox and be like, yeah, it runs with this and that. And then Sony's going to freak out and go, we have to match that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, what? The last few games that people are working on, maybe they cancelled all the games. I don't know. Maybe they literally have nothing and they're like, October 2020 is when PS5 comes out. So don't make any other games. You make it on PS5. Yeah. Maybe that's what's happening. Even then, they can't do anything. And because they don't want to risk Xbox outshining them. Because Xbox could. Because Sony could come out and be like, yeah, it was going to be at 1440p, at 80 frames per second, and then Microsoft would come out and go, yeah, it's going to be at 60p and all that, or whatever it's called. I can't remember what is above 1440p, but yeah, and then they're going to look like right idiots because they already have outdated, stuff. But I think that's what's happening. I mean, let's segue into the trailers. Because I will say, I do like the fact that they did spotlight some of these games and actually gave them attention. I like the fact that they, shone a light on the weirder games like, what is it called? Watam and After Party. They look cool. But at the same time, if this is all you have for the rest of the year, as you've already said, that's really worrying.
Yeah.
Because it's Death Stranding, and then I guess you wait for Final Fantasy VII and The Last of Us Part 2 or 2.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's almost a 4-month wait.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't care about anything in this trailer, you're in trouble.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, you best just start getting that back catalogue.
It almost went that way for me. I was like, when I saw the first couple trailers, I was like, oh my god, this is actually boring. And then I skipped right towards the end and I saw Medieval. I was like, okay, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, so let's talk about the trailers, which, you know, to be fair, although the whole thing as a whole was very disappointing and boring, at least there was something there. I mean, it's very baffling that they did the whole, oh, these are the games free with the Sony subscription. I was like, why are you telling us that? Like, people know that. That could be a tweet or something like that. Or why are you bragging? Why are you showing Call of Duty? Sony, of all people, should know that is not their core audience. Yes, people play on that system.
Yeah.
That is not what people are here for. People do not want to see Modern Warfare. Whatever the... Because this game is already confusing as is. What is this? Is this Modern Warfare 4?
Yeah.
Is this a sequel? It's just called Modern Warfare. Like, no one knows what it is. So, they didn't clear that up, you know? So, those are some of the bad points with it. But, and also spending so much time on that, like, baseball game. And I'm like, no. Like, if you play sports game, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you do not need to spend that much time on such a specific sports game.
Yeah, it's true.
Even if it was FIFA, I'd be like, no, we are done.
Yeah.
Move on.
No, forget FIFA.
Yeah, so, trailers. We had the Medieval trailer, which obviously showed off... well, it basically confirmed there was going to be a demo.
Yeah.
Which, did you see the demo gameplay or anything like that?
No, not too much. I didn't look too far into it.
Were you interested in the game and that?
Yeah, I am interested though.
It looks like it could be good. I'm hoping it's going to be good. What other trailers is there? I mean, do we want to talk about Last of Us 2? Do we care?
I mean, I don't mind. We can go into a little bit of it if you want.
I mean, I don't really care, but it's nothing special really.
Nah,
it's just look who's going to get stabbed basically.
Yeah, snippets of the gameplay pretty much and what's going to be featured in the new game essentially.
Like Joel has been unlocked.
Yeah.
The main character from the last game, he's still there, which is like, oh, I'm surprised people were actually worried he wasn't going to be in the game.
Really?
And I was like, yeah. People are like, oh, is he going to be in the game? I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's going to be in the game.
Well, yeah.
Especially given that you see him in the original CGI trailer, but okay. I guess everyone just forgot about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks fine. It doesn't look like a system seller. It doesn't look that much impressive. It doesn't look like the most impressive game on the PlayStation 4, let's be fair. I don't think it does. And I'm not trying to call Naughty Dog's bluff or anything like that. It's just whatever. I would personally rather have Naughty Dog make something new. I understand that Naughty Dog is kind of like a shell of their former selves where they won't even talk about Crash. They're like, no, we don't talk about that. We moved past that. We've matured. You know,
Oh dear.
that's kind of what they're like now. If you go to their studio, you don't see Crash anywhere. It's like, no, get rid of that shit. Jack and Daxter who? What? No, that's for this.
What's that?
That's baby stuff. No, we make games for adults now. That's not a quote from them. That's just me, like, paraphrasing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Kind of how they act, their braggadocious ways. But, you know, when you see that Naughty Dog logo, you got to clap. Always got to clap when you see that Naughty Dog logo. When you're E3, got to clap, guys. Don't clap for logos, please. But, yeah, it looks fine. I mean, I can't wait to see how people are going to get stabbed. That's my main consensus, really. What else was there?
Sorry, go on.
After Party.
Afterplay.
Which is an interesting game. It looked like it's going to be too hipster-ish for me, personally. Like, too attention-seeking. It looks like the kind of game people who like Riverdale would probably play, but it looks fun. It's interesting, as well as the game from the creators of Katamari Demise. What's it called? Watam. I'm not sure how you say that. I think that's how you say it. Who knows?
Yeah.
It could be said with a Z. I don't know. But that looked fun because they always make great games. Some weird game where you play as a bunch of shapes, reconnecting the world. Sure.
Okay.
Anything I'm missing in terms of trailers?
Wasn't it that first trailer, Humanity? that weird looking game.
I didn't care for that at all.
I was just like, what is this?
I didn't know what that was. I don't know. I don't get it. Like, I don't know what the point of that game is. Like with Watam or whatever you call it, I get the point of that game.
Yeah.
The goal is clear. You play as a character, you connect people, do funny stuff. Yeah. What are you doing in that game? Is that even a game? Because I'm confused.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like it should have been released like 7 years ago. Because that does not look entertaining at all, and it doesn't even look that great neither.
Yeah, it looks stupid.
Yeah, is this just you trying to go, look how much we can render? It's like, okay. Yeah, we know that. All like, right. You can render a lot. That's not impressive. I mean, look how much The Last of Us killed PlayStation 3s. That's how much it was rendering.
Yeah.
It took like about 10 minutes to load that game up. But yeah, I didn't bother with that game at all. Same with like the VR stuff. I was like, you can
forget that. Yeah.
Put that in the bin.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, but yeah, are we missing anything?
No, I think that was it. I don't remember anything else.
If we're missing anything, oh well.
It was disappointing anyway. Forget it.
It obviously wasn't that special.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to our news stories and topics. You definitely want to take the next one, I would imagine.
Oh, the Mortal Kombat 11 Terminator.
Yes.
Yeah.
T800 gameplay trailer.
Yeah, I mean, well, from what I saw, I'm not actually that interested in the character, you know.
Are you a Terminator fan?
No. I'm not a huge Terminator fan, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
I feel like he kind of just looks like another. I feel like a lot of people are gonna like be trolls with him.
How so?
In terms of just the way he gameplays and the air juggling, I feel like people are gonna really take the piss with this character. I don't know why.
If it is already broken, then I guess. But I don't know. Maybe you saw the potential for like that. I didn't really see it there. That voice isn't great. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, you know, I didn't even take notice too much.
I mean, that is obviously not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just surprised someone got paid for that because I've heard better.
Oh dear.
And I mean, the one thing that's quite weird as well is that you'd think with how hard, 20th Century Fox is advertising the new Terminator film in games. I mean, the T800 is also in Gears of War 5 for some reason.
Really?
And I think he's also going to be in another game, apparently, that has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
You'd think that they would have spent the money to actually get Arnold to record for like half an hour.
Yeah.
You think they would have gone, hey, the fans really like Arnie, so let's actually
let's get the voice.
Let's actually get the voice.
That would make sense.
I don't understand why you cheapskate on such a big advertising ploy. I understand that it probably would have cost NetherRealm and I guess Microsoft a lot of money to get the license for that, for like the music, the images and all that. But I'm pretty sure you could have got Arnie. Even if you got Arnie just to do like a few lines and then got the other guy to do
the rest, that's
to do the
fine.
Rest. Like, all the grunts and all the like screaming. Get the guy to do that, but like get Arnie to do the actual speaking stuff. Very disappointed in that. I thought the fact that when you lose one round, like the flesh melts off and it actually reveals the medal and the skeleton. That was a really nice touch. I didn't like the fatality though. I thought that was. Really...
I didn't want to watch it because I haven't watched any of the fatalities in the game. I'm not trying to spoil myself.
I'm not gonna. Okay, I won't spoil it then.
Yeah.
But basically, I thought it was kind of lame.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was more reference over creativity.
Oh.
And I was just like,
all right, fair enough.
But I mean, I think we have a few more DLC characters to come. I can't remember who. Spawn, I know, is going to be one
Spawn.
of them.
Yeah, I remember mentioning that.
Of course, because, Ed Boon. I don't know how Spawn's going to play. Yeah.
Oh, actually, just to add on your point of, like, not having Arnie as the voice actor, they managed to get Carl Weathers to do Jax in MK10. And because Predator was going to be in it. So I'm thinking, well, they could get Arnie to do the voice acting for Terminator.
Yeah. I mean, I understand maybe Arnie might, ask for a bigger paycheck. I get that. Yeah. No disrespect to Cole, but it is a bit bizarre. And I mean, especially given that there's meant to be like a Predator game or something coming out, or something's happening with Predator.
Okay.
Predator's in a game or Predator's getting a game.
Okay.
like you could put Predator back in that game, I guess. And then obviously that would make a lot of, you know, funny dialogue between, you know, Jackson Briggs and the Predator.
Yeah.
You know, was Predator in one of the games?
For Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Yeah, X.
Mortal Kombat. He was in it. Okay, yeah. Bring him back, I guess. Was the Xenomorph in one? I can't remember if it was.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
It was in X as well.
Wow, I thought that was a dream.
No, it was in Mortal Kombat X as well.
Okay. Very bizarre.
He's irrelevant. You're
gonna see me in Mortal Kombat 12. It's like, who's this guy? You know, from the Ferret Raccoon podcast. You know, I'll even do the voice NetherRealm. Or just get someone else to do.
That'll be like the fatality, the induction of the podcast.
Yeah. Just, ladies. Oh boy. But yeah, I thought that was pretty fun because obviously we like Mortal Kombat. I'm the bigger Terminator fan out of the two, obviously. But I haven't really watched past Terminator 2.
Okay.
Because everything else is kind of rubbish.
Yeah, I think the last Terminator film I watched was the one that came out, I think it was back in Was there one that came out in 2013? Or 2014 or something like that?
That would have been Salvation, maybe?
No, the one after Salvation. The one where it's like the old Terminator versus
Genesis.
Yes, Genesis,
yeah,
that's the one.
Spelled with a Y.
Yeah, that's the one I watched. That was shit.
Yeah. No one liked that film.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny because you watch Salvation and you're like, good lord, that was a bad film. And then you watch that one and you're like, oh, that makes Salvation look good.
And the worst part about it is I trekked all the way to southwest London just to watch that for someone's birthday.
Oh.
I was dragged along.
Jeez.
Yeah.
You need to stop.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Let's move on, but technically maybe kind of stick with games, and let's talk about our next trailer, which is Blood Machines. This is the official trailer for I don't know what game this is, but this film or TV series or whatever the hell it is, it basically looks like Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, it does. It did give that vibe.
If it was interesting and good. So shots fired. But
World Star.
Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of like a conundrum. This whatever the hell this is meant to be, or what exactly they're quite going for.
Yeah.
I thought it would be best not to look up the synopsis first, because I'm like, I have a feeling that even the synopsis is boring.
Yeah.
Well, not boring, excuse me. Won't help, basically.
Yeah.
But this is a very heavy sci-fi 80s aesthetic nostalgia thing. With, I think it kind of has like maybe a nice balance of seriousness and kind of like tongue-in-cheek at its concept, because it is very ridiculous at the end of the day when you look at it. I mean, even like the voices, they're very like bit crushed to the point where it does kind of feel like a game, and it's very over the top. I think it's too much to some extent, personally. I mean, it's visually very busy. It's so colorful. There's so much CGI, and I'm not really sure what I'm looking at a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's really hard to tell what's going on. And I mean, I do like how they're referencing the past and like that kind of aesthetic of like sci-fi, colorful stuff, comics, that kind of mystical, that kind of era of like fantasy.
Yeah.
I really like that, and kind of like bringing into like the modern age and kind of pushing the limitations of, I guess, how much a TV can display. In terms of like color and like busyness or whatever. But I just feel like it's a bit too much to some extent. Yeah. I couldn't imagine watching this at 4K at 60 frames per second. I have a feeling you might throw up. That's just my theory. I mean, I did like some of the designs of some of the areas. I like the little spaceship, I like the cockpit. That looked great. That looked like it could have been like a bit of pixel art from a game from 1985 or something like that, or something out of like Wolfenstein or something like that, if it was like pixelated.
Right, yeah.
But I wanted to show out this trailer because it's something.
Yeah, I never understood like the last shot of the scene where it's like the lady was just floating. I was like, what is that all about? I'm guessing she's like some kind of like prophet, or the one they're after, or like the main bad guy, or maybe they're going for like a bit of a system shock, Shogun. Was it Shodan? It's Shodan, isn't it? I think it might be, yeah.
Yeah, Shodan kind of thing, or a bit like a hive mind cybernetic thing. Yeah. I really don't know. That stuff is interesting, and I kind of hope that the series has a story, and it isn't just, oh, look how aesthetically great I made the series, but the story sucks, you know.
Yeah, let's hope it actually has a story and not just visuals and all that.
Like a good example would be like Kung Fu Cop, if you've ever seen that. That's basically it's like a parody on like 80s like nostalgia and references and stuff, where it basically takes place in this weird kind of dystopian 80s kind of world, and it's very farcical and it's very ridiculous, where it's like literally the main character is a kung fu cop, and like within like the first few minutes, like he rolls up in like his police car and he's like, hey, you kids, don't be doing that stuff, and they literally put a skateboard under his police car and flip his car in midair and his car just goes spinning.
Oh my god.
So it's ridiculous stuff like that. And you got like characters like, one of the cops is like has the head of a Tyrannosaurus, you know, because obviously dinosaurs were cool back in the 80s, and that's very 80s gimmicky. And even his boss, you know, the chief police is like a black guy who's always, you know, so it does deal. And there's even like a guy called Hacker Man, you know, the best hacker in the business, because every 80s film has a hacker, of course. So why not have Hacker Man?
Oh my days.
You know, and obviously it's got like narration, but if you go and watch Kung Fu Cop, I believe that's what it's called. It's a really funny, like, it's literally like a 30-minute like film on YouTube. It's great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
So that's actually worth watching. But especially if you want to know how to do like that kind of aesthetic very well. But anything else to add to this?
Yeah,
no. Okay, let's move on to the trailer everyone's been looking forward to. Do you want to take this trailer? Yeah,
I'll take this one.
Okay.
So Birds of Prey. So firstly, so this film's directed by a lady called Kathy Yan, who worked on film shorts like Dead Pigs, which I'll just explain a little bit about it because probably a lot of people didn't know about it. I didn't even know about it. Basically, it's about a farmer, a salon owner, and a disenchanted rich girl who all collide after... It's a very weird synopsis when I read it up, but it was basically saying like how dead pigs are flowing down the river of Shanghai, and I'm like, okay. I think it is a metaphor to say like how like maybe the kind of like the farm is like dying out and like the whole city is becoming like technicalized and modernized and everything like that, so it's like all natural stuff is dying. So it's kind of a metaphor.
Is that the whole synopsis of the whole thing?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I mean, all right, then I might have to look into that. But,
yeah, because literally that's all the description was, and I was like, okay, this is really not helpful.
Fair enough. It's like the opposite of The Shivering Truth, where it's like synopsis is so long but so nonsensical. I don't know off by heart, but it's literally like a paragraph, and it makes no sense to what the series is. Yeah, kind of what that reminds me of.
But yeah, going back into, sorry to go on a tangent, but going back to Birds of Prey. Harley Quinn. What can I say? I mean, I'm not a huge DC fan, nor am I a huge Marvel fan, but I quite like the way the Margot Robbie?
Margaret Robbie. I believe,
I love the voice acting. I love the New Yorker accent. She's got that to a T.
Yeah.
I love it.
She does.
Yeah, I think she's really got into Harley Quinn really well. I did enjoy her in Suicide Squad.
She has become Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I would say so. The acting is amazing. I would say I was actually looking at the comments actually of the trailer, and there was one comment I really want to talk about, which is the bit in the trailer where she says, "I broke up with Joker." I was like, okay. I was thinking, okay, what is the point? And then it was like, oh yeah, that's basically a quick way of saying, is it Jared Leto that played as Joker in Suicide Squad?
Suicide Squad, yes.
Yeah, it's basically a quick way of saying that he was fired.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, but I thought it was quite funny. I thought it was worth mentioning.
We don't know because DC doesn't know what they're doing, because there's still meant to be another, like, 2 more Joker films.
Oh, really?
One that is neither Jared Leto or Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, okay.
And then one that was originally planned to be Jared Leto.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think DC knows what they're doing with the character. I mean, they don't even know what they're doing with Batman.
Oh dear.
Like, they're meant, like, for those of you who don't know, the Henry Cavill is no longer Superman. And I forget the guy who played Batman.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
He's gone, and that's been, he's been replaced. So they kind of almost been replacing. Suicide Squad itself is being rebooted.
Really?
Yes.
As a film or series?
I think it's going to be a soft reboot, but I don't think anyone is returning.
Ew. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, because Suicide Squad did poorly, and no one liked it.
I actually really enjoyed it. Surprisingly enough.
Most people didn't, and it didn't make stupid money. So, I'm not even surprised that this film even exists. I thought they would have cancelled it.
Oh, what, Birds of Prey?
Yeah.
Ah.
I thought they would have cancelled it because DC would have gone, let's just start again. Because I guess Harley Quinn's not going to be in Suicide Squad, or it's going to be another Harley Quinn. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
I think given what the trailer might be implying, maybe Harley Quinn is going to be the Suicide Squad, given that she's going to have a posse of girls.
Yeah, because
people seem to think they know who they're going to be in terms of superheroes. So people are saying like one's going to be Black Canary and Zoltana, the magician girl. People are saying one of the characters might be that. To which those characters aren't bad guys. So okay, I understand Harley Quinn is kind of like she can be a good guy and it can be a bad guy at the same time. I get that. I don't mind either way personally, but it's bizarre. I don't know what's going on with this film. I don't think they know what's going on with this film. It's bizarre. I mean, I was watching this trailer and I was thinking, what a waste of money. Because it just kind of looks like they didn't need a budget because nothing's really happening in this film. Not that I can see. And I think my biggest problem with this film is I don't know who this film is for.
Like, in terms of...
Like, who is the target audience?
Oh, right, okay.
Because, yes, Harley Quinn has her fans... But is this film just for Harley Quinn fans?
I'm guessing it's probably just to bring in new people to maybe take interest in a character.
But then they've just mentioned the Joker. And then which Joker are you talking about? Are you talking about Joaquin Phoenix Joker? Why was Harley Quinn dating that old guy?
I think it's probably the Suicide Squad Joker, Jared Leto, I think.
But if that's introducing people to it, then it's like, oh, you got to watch Suicide Squad first.
Maybe.
And then it's like, well, why is he not in it then? Which Joker? Is that the same Joker? Or is this another Joker? What about the Joker film that comes out next year? Is that the Joker she's talking about? See, this is what happens when you don't plan your series, people. People get confused, and I can also confuse people with how poorly you planned.
I think I'm guessing it's the Suicide Squad Joker. That's my theory.
It is, but I mean, it's so bizarre because they've poorly planned this. I don't really feel like Harley Quinn has a character in this film, personally.
Really?
I wasn't getting a sense of that. I mean, she just seems like edgy woman. As opposed to, like, tragically insane or spontaneously a free spirit. She kind of just seemed to do things and there was no kind of rhyme or reason. She was kind of just like, yeah, oh man, beat me up, that's cool. And I was like, okay.
Maybe just for the humour, I guess.
I guess. Because then it's like... It's very hard to make a character who's meant to be insane, but then her be like, yeah, we got to organise this raid. And I'm like, a crazy woman wouldn't be doing that. But, you know, I don't know. I think they're just doing their own thing. And once again, they're confusing people where it's like, this ain't the Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad, but it's the Harley Quinn from Suicide Squad. And you're like, but I don't know. I mean... I didn't really like this trailer, personally. I just thought it was like style over substance for the most part.
I enjoyed it.
I thought they were just trying to cover up for the fact that there was no real story with lighting. Because there isn't really a story here. It's like...
Yeah, there isn't a story. I would agree with you on
obviously, it's a trailer, so obviously they're hiding the story. But at the same time, it's like... Yeah, it just seems like they were just... Like, they're just trying to... It seems like they were more interested in making references to... Gentlemen prefer blondes than actually making a story, which is like the whole musical scene you see, which they keep showing in the trailer because they're so impressed that they remade that shot from that film.
Oh, right.
And I'm like, okay, great, you saw a film that starred Marilyn Monroe. Good for you. Where's the story for this film? What does this have to do with anything? I understand this is very clearly meant to be her dream or something like that, but what's the point? Other than you get to shove more lights on Margot Robbie. What's the point? Yeah, I didn't care for it. I mean, I'm more interested in the other characters than Harley Quinn herself. I'm more interested in her girlfriends, basically.
Okay.
Because I don't know what's up with them. They had no presence in that trailer whatsoever.
Probably like 1 second cameos.
1 second, yeah. They're cameos, basically. I mean, the character that got the most screen time was the girl who throws a grenade out the window, and I'm like, who the fuck is that? Like... I understand we're not supposed to know who that is, but I'm like, is that just... Did Harley Quinn just break into that woman's car and went, here, throw this grenade, there's people chasing me? Like, I mean, I get it, Deadpool reference, but like... I don't know.
Dear.
I don't know. I'm interested in her. I don't really care for the main villain. I mean, I do like the fact that it's Ewan McGregor, and that's always a positive. But he's just basically like Joker 0.5, I guess. Maybe he is the Joker. I don't know. I think people seem to think it's Black Mask. I don't know if it is. Who knows? I honestly don't care, to be honest. It could be Christy Yamaguchi. I don't really care. But yeah, it's bizarre. The only thing I did like about this trailer was the fact that she had a pet hyena. That's the only thing I liked about this trailer. I don't know if she has two, because her original hyenas are called Bud and Lou.
Okay.
So hopefully they're going to appear. Hopefully we get the scene where she actually breaks them out the zoo.
Yeah.
Why a woman has an animal that dangerous, I don't know. But yeah, that's the only thing I liked about this trailer, was the fact that she has hyenas, which is like the only... And I'm just like, okay, I'm done with this trailer. Don't need to... No. Anything else to add to this trailer?
No, I was just gonna say if like someone suggested to see the film, I'll probably go watch it anyway, because I have slight interest in the film.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that this is I'll never watch this film. I mean, if it's on TV, I'll watch it if I have time. But it's not a like, oh, this looks like garbage. No, it's just whatever to me.
Yeah.
Personally,
okay.
I'm not discrediting the fact that there's clear acting, there's clear talent here, and there's somewhat of a direction here, whether it's just the lighting. But overall, I don't really know what to make of this film, and I don't really get the hype. I think that's kind of the problem with when people see like a DC film or a film like this, they just immediately go, it will be good because it looks colourful and different compared to everything else.
It's funny because when I first saw the actual poster of the film, a lot of people were like, not watching, just comments, not watching, this looks shit. So I saw opposite.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a mixed bag, because you have the DC fans who love the Zack Snyder stuff and they do not like this newer stuff, right, where they're like, this is a complete betrayal, you're just copying Marvel. And I get that. But at the same time, those fans need to realize DC doesn't give a fuck what you think. They want that Marvel money. They don't care. If they had to make all their film, if to beat Marvel, they had to make all their films about something like sexual assault, they would make 50 films about sexual assault. Ooh, if that was the in thing, DC would be the first to do it, because they jump on trends. That's all they do. I know that's a bit extreme, but I'm just trying to get a point across. That's all it is. It's just a trend. The director clearly just watched like Drive and went, oh, we got to make the film like Drive. Basically. I don't think they know what they're doing, personally, and I don't really care for this film. I'm sure it'll be okay. I know DC's films have been somewhat better. People say Shazam's good. People seem to think Joker is good. But this film, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Because ultimately, it's not going to matter in 6 months' time when they just reboot everything. So I don't see why I should get invested in this if you're not going to do anything with it. Because DC's just going to come in and go, rebooting Harley Quinn. She's going to... Harley Quinn origin story. Let's do a story where she met the Joker. Not Jared Leto or Joaquin Phoenix. Another Joker. Get another guy. Get someone who's younger. Oh, that film flopped. Joker origin story. Go. That's what they do. Think about it. We have 2 films with the Joker in it coming from the same studio within the span of less than 5 years. Oh, dear. And they still intend to do another one.
Yeah, I don't get that at all.
They don't even know what they're doing. Do you want to move on to the next trailer?
Yeah.
I think I'll definitely talk about this one. We're going to talk about the trailer for Uncut Gems. And oh boy, I clicked on that trailer hard when I saw the A24 logo. I was like, ooh, time for the film of the year. Yeah, this was an interesting film. This got people talking, mainly because of the main star being Adam Sandler, of all people. The controversial actor that he is. Yeah, he's playing the main role in this film, in which I will say first, the pacing of this trailer originally reminded me of kind of like the pacing of Good Time, which came out a couple years ago, one of the better films of this decade. And checking up on this film, it was like, yeah, it's the directors of Good Time. So now I'm super hyped for this film, because yeah, this film looks like it could be good. And I'm gonna say could. Now, like I hinted at, Adam Sandler is a controversial actor, because most people are like, hey, he's terrible, he's in bad films, and whatever things you want to say about him. But here, he is essentially playing a sleazy, comedic, jewelry selling gambler in a serious crime thriller.
Yeah.
That is a very interesting premise. Because Adam Sandler himself can do serious and comedic roles. He just doesn't do them very often. A good example is the film Punch Drunk Love, where he essentially is in a more kind of natural and reserved role. It's a very, not like a super serious film, but it's like a normal film. It's not comedy.
Right.
And he does a fantastic performance in that film. I always, say to people when they're ripping on Adam Sandler, I'm like, yeah, but Punch Drunk Love, the guy's capable. I mean, he has been in good films. It's just of recently he hasn't.
Right, yeah.
So obviously I understand why people are like confused. But personally, for me, I think his performance is like really good. I think his performance is so believable, and it's so fascinating to watch this character just like do things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm watching this character, like, what is going on? Like, I am so invested in this man's life right now. I'm like, what is he, who is this man?
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the character, but, for the sake of it, I'm like, who is Adam Sandler? What is he doing? What's going to happen to Adam Sandler? Is he going to be okay? I'm worried about Adam Sandler. Is he going to be alive by the end of this film? So I'm pretty hyped for this film. It looks like it could be good. I'm interested to see how the jewelry industry works.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how the gambling industry fits into the jewelry industry.
Yeah.
If there's like a connection or a link where, there's a scene where he's like, yeah, here's a diamond jewel Furby.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like,
I was surprised to see that, actually.
I guess that's a thing. Maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, rich people are stupid. They'll put diamonds in anything. But, I'm interested to see what's going to happen in this film. I'm interested to see whether the fact that the guy's Jewish is going to play into the story, given the stereotypes people say about like Jewish people. For those of you who don't know, they say they're greedy and good with money. Just for reference, given that he is a gambler and a jewelry salesman, I wonder if that's going to play into it. Because even at the end of the trailer, the guy's like, "Oh, he's just a crazy fucking Jew," and I'm like, okay, but
yeah,
I wonder if that's going to play into things. I know this film's going to get tense. I know it's going to get dark. And like I hinted at before, I think people are going to get killed in this film. I think someone's going to get killed in this film. I don't know who, but it just feels like that kind of film where someone did someone wrong and guess what?
Oh no, vengeance is going to happen.
Guess what? Someone got killed. And then it's like Adam Sandler being like, oh shit, I got to get the money, Obviously I've just like sped through all my comments. Owl, your thoughts on Uncut Gems?
Yeah. Next.
Oh no, you can't do me like that.
I'm sorry. I didn't take any interest in the trailer at all. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, kind of.
Get
thing.
out.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I'm off the podcast now, guys.
No, it's fine. I get it. I think the trailer probably isn't like a reflection of what the film will actually be, and obviously it might not be a film for everyone. Obviously,
yeah.
And I still think Adam Sandler is probably going to be a big hurdle to get over given his past reputation. So I get that, but I'm very interested in this film. I mean, I like the aesthetic of it. It's not too, as opposed to like Harley Quinn, it's not over the top flashy. It's got a style, but it's not like too over the top. Like there's a bit of like colored lighting, the nightclub and certain scenes. There's like a kind of grungy color to it, and I like that aesthetic.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see what they'll do. I'm also hoping that it isn't just Good Time again.
Oh yeah, right. I understand.
Because there are some kind of elements that are kind of there. It's obviously it's not the same plot, not the same characters, but I hope it's not just Good Time again.
Yeah, you don't want that.
I won't want that, but at the same time, even if it is kind of the same structure, I mean, people still listen to the same love song over and over and over again, and they still say it's great. People watch the same film over and over again, or remake, and they still say it's great. So we'll see. I just hope that it stays like on track and it's great. I mean, it is very promising. Even the poster for the film is quite interesting. It's just an image of like Adam Sandler's character with like tissue in his nose after being punched in the face, and it just says Uncut Gems, like black background. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty striking. Like, that's like almost like a no thrills poster to some extent. But yeah, I guess we'll move on to our final trailer, which I think we're gonna be quick about.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you want to introduce this one?
Yeah, sure thing. So, The Kingsman. This film is directed by Matthew. Forgive me if I pronounce the name wrong. Vaughn, I think it is.
How is it spelled?
Vaughn. Vaughn. Yeah, I'll just say Vaughn, but forgive me if I'm wrong. He directed Kick-Ass, That's one of his previous projects. So essentially, from what I got from the trailer, the film's about basically going back into, I think, back into history and talking about when the first first independence intelligence of the Kingsmen started, and trying to stop the historical tyrants in the past. That's from what I gathered from.
There's time travel in this film?
Yeah, from what it hinted at.
I thought this was a prequel.
It probably is. I don't know.
Because no one from the original series is here. I thought this was just literally the origins of the Kingsman service.
I'm guessing so. I might be wrong, but yeah.
Wait, I'm confused now.
Yeah.
I didn't think this was a time travel story.
Let's hope it's not. I think it maybe the time it's set in, and it's probably just.
I think we're going back in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't think there was time travel involved,
No,
because why would you not have the main characters be the ones go back in time? Okay.
Yeah.
This film is basically damage control, because Fox messed up the last film, big time. Have you seen the previous Kingsman's films?
No.
The first one is great. The second one is fine, but they basically shot themselves in the foot. That's why we have this one.
Okay.
Without spoiling what happens in the second film, and to kind of give some kind of context on why this film kind of exists, basically a lot of the cast from the first film, they basically said, we don't need them, let's make some changes.
Oh wow.
Without spoiling anything.
Yeah.
So when it came time to actually do a sequel, being this one, there wasn't anywhere they could go, because they had basically let go of the cast, essentially.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil that, because it's still pretty new, and obviously for this new film, people are going to go back and watch the first and second film, so I don't want to spoil what exactly happens.
Yeah.
But even when I watched it, I was like, oh, I guess we're just doing that now, which was very surprising. Fox basically messed up the film to some extent. They altered it to their own demise, and then realized they basically got stuck, where they went, oh, we can't really do a sequel now.
We're doing time travel.
Let's do a time travel prequel thing. And I'll be honest, I really don't care about the origins of the Kingsman service. And I honestly really don't care for these characters. I don't know who they are. They just don't have anything interesting. I mean, personally, we're done with this series. We are done with Kingsman as a film series. Go read the comics, if anything. The characters, I mean, it's like, to me, it just lacks charm and relatability. And that's what the first film had so much of. Okay. The main characters that we saw were so relatable, we could understand them, we understand their situation. The main two characters was literally like, the main character is like a chavvy kid who basically gets introduced into this kind of upper class British service.
Oh wait, yes, I did watch the first film. Okay, yeah. Sorry, yeah, I did watch it. Yeah, that was a good film.
Yeah, that was a good film. A very underrated film. That's just that's not here. Yeah. And I'm not getting that. And it's like, sure, maybe they're just not, highlighting those points are in the film, but I'm just really not feeling that. And I think this is just maybe Fox setting up for another trilogy. Right. Personally, because when the second film came out, I was shocked that Fox said the next one's coming out soon. Oh. Yeah, think about it. It hasn't really been 2 years since the last one came out.
Yeah, no, yeah, it came out fairly recently.
Because Fox is kind of losing its franchises very quickly. No one wants another Alien film. No one wants another Predator film. They're trying with, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting it. There's something else that Fox has, but I can't remember what it is, which they're trying to push. But yeah, Fox is kind of they're trying to make as much money as they can while they still own that stuff before it goes to Sony. But obviously they keep fumbling the franchises to the point where they did Alien Isolation. No, that's the game.
Oh, what was the? Oh my gosh, I actually forgot.
Covenant.
Yeah, Alien Covenant.
They did Alien Covenant, and everyone hated that. They did Predators. Everyone hated that because it was downright offensive. And a few other things they've done, and even they've botched the Kingsman franchise, where they basically did that kind of stuff in the sequel and basically kind of messed themselves up. If you wanted to keep doing Kingsman films, I don't really have a problem with that. But when you're going to essentially make that big of a mistake, in my opinion, and then go, just restart again. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, you can't be doing that.
I'm really disappointed in this trailer, personally. The action looks okay, but the fact that it exists, I would have rather had a sequel, honestly. Or just do another story that doesn't really involve, like, specifically these same locations and not these characters. It's very bizarre. I think we're done with trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on to the discussion. So we actually have a discussion for once on this podcast. And as it is October, the discussion is going to be dark, creepy, or disturbing episodes perfect for Halloween. Now, the main point of this discussion is that we are essentially going to be picking, maximum of 3 episodes from any given TV series, whether that's live action, animated, as long as it's a television series, basically, and has an episode. For example, we're picking an episode that was, rather creepy, disturbing, or dark, that we feel could perfectly fit in with the Halloween theming. It could, and we're specifically saying non-Halloween themed and, Halloween special episodes.
Yeah.
So episodes that maybe stick out as a sore thumb based on, like...
Yeah, our opinions, basically.
Our opinions, but we still feel could work within this theme to some extent. So, do you want to go first, Al, with your first episode?
Yeah, sure. So, this I would say is more like a childhood one for me.
Yeah.
So, SpongeBob SquarePants, season 4, the episode Ghost Host, where basically, essentially, it's about the Flying Dutchman. I think his like ship breaks down, so he has to like stay at SpongeBob's house. Yeah. And he keeps scaring SpongeBob, and SpongeBob is frightened out of his mind. But when it comes to like, there's a specific scene, I think it's towards the end of the episode, he does like this manifestation of like all different things that are creepy. Yeah. So like a gigantic ant, and then it was like a caterpillar with a baby's head, and then it starts like mutating and things like that. And I thought, well, that's pretty creepy watching that as a kid. But the ironic thing was SpongeBob was just not scared anymore. So he was just staring like, yeah, you done now. So it's quite, I just thought it would be good to mention that specific scene. That scene,
that episode, has one of my favourite kind of out of context SpongeBob episodes where like the Flying Dutchman is watching the like spiritual motivational video.
That bit is so funny. That's the best part.
The amount of times I think me and Obsidian rewatched that scene. Yeah. Like just the episode and then that clip. Yeah. Just like the power within. Yeah. The power within. The power within.
I was the one that told Obsidian about that episode.
Oh man. That scene is just like,
yeah, it's trippy.
It is trippy. It's weird, but it's what makes SpongeBob so great.
Yeah.
That's a good episode. That's a good pick. I actually didn't think of that one because I actually also have a SpongeBob episode for one of mine.
Oh really?
As well.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I'm gonna go with the episode Graveyard Shift, which is, I believe that's in season 2.
Season 2. Okay.
And this is my favorite episode of SpongeBob, just to let you guys know. And I just love this episode because it's like the perfect setup and it's a perfect example of like pacing and tension and a really like spooky vibe and atmosphere as well in a SpongeBob episode as well, because the basic plot of this is that Mr. Krabs essentially decides to keep the Krusty Krab open 24 hours. Yeah. Which means that like SpongeBob and Squidward have to work there 24 hours. And in doing so, it gets to the point where there's a very funny scene where like SpongeBob is like, so excited he gets to work at the Krusty Krab like 24 hours basically. To which he's like has to take out the garbage and you realise he has to take it out at night. Yeah. And he just gets that great scene where he runs out literally holding the trash screaming as he goes out and puts it in. To which it gets to the point where Squidward essentially tells him like this like, kind of scary like folktale story of like the hash slinging slasher.
Oh yeah, I remember that episode.
And I think just the way Squidward tells, because he tells it for so long. Yeah. But they also able to like get in so many jokes and so many like visual like gags within sort of telling a story. Like he talks about this like chef who essentially cuts off his hand and he replaces it with a spatula, and SpongeBob takes off his hand and it replaces it. And he's like, but it doesn't get replaced, and that like scares SpongeBob. And then, obviously, as he's telling the story, talking about how, like, the 3 signs of when the hash-slinging slasher returns, where it's, like, the lights will flicker on and off, the phone will ring, and there'll be nobody there, and then the hash-slinging slasher will return for his hand. And it's great because you see some nice, like, comedic moments where at first, like, SpongeBob's, like, kind of, like, biting his nails, and he's literally eating his hands, they're going into his mouth, and then he's eating it like popcorn, which is great. And then the episode gets really kind of, like, spooky and unnerving, towards the middle part, where like there's like this one scene where you get like there's like this weird noise, which you find out why it's being made, but it always creeped me out, that one scene, because Scooter's looking around like, what the hell is that noise? And we don't see what it is for a while, but we just find out it's SpongeBob. And then obviously the signs start happening, the lights start flickering on and off, and then you get like the phone call and no one's there, and each time they're kind of going back and forth going, oh, nice one, Squidward, just like the story. And then they kind of realize it's like it's really happening, and then like the hashling slasher himself like turns up. Yeah. And it's actually pretty freaky because you don't know what the hell is going on. Yeah. And you're like, is this a real thing? Like, obviously you don't want it to be a real thing, but so far it's like so frightening, the characters are frightening. I will not spoil the ending. If you've never seen the episode, I'm not going to spoil the ending. Yeah. But it's definitely a surprise ending. Especially given what happens at the very end, where even when I watched the child, I was like, what the hell? Like, yes. I was like,
random.
This is random as hell. Like, I don't think any child gets that. But it's hilarious in and itself. So that's my first pick. I love that episode so much. I think it's perfect to watch on Halloween. It's funny as well. I've watched the episode so many times, but it's weirdly enough, the 8th time I watched it was the time it actually creeped me out one time.
Oh, wow.
Where like legit, I was watching it late at night, and then like my floorboard started creaking and stuff like that, and I was like, hey, okay.
Yeah, that's enough now, enough SpongeBob.
That's enough. But, do you want to hit us up with your next episode?
Yeah, so my second pick was, I don't remember the name of the specific episode, but it's Powerpuff Girls. Bubbles' Nightmare. Where basically the scene is where like they're all sleeping, and then Bubbles just wakes up because she can't sleep, and then like her toys start, like the teddy bear comes to life, and then all of a sudden it like starts growing, like, it has like sharp teeth, and then the rest of her toys start going into start like I can't think of the word now, like start changing into like weird dark creepy toys, and starts to like I think there's one like toy that starts to stretch his arms around her and starts strangling her, and she's trying to wake up the rest of her sisters, and then Blossom and Buttercup, and they're not waking up, and she's like, it's like they're suffocating her, and it was creepy watching it as a kid.
That actually sounds like it might actually be a reference to Nightmare on Elm Street,
possibly, because
Freddy Krueger himself does stretch his arms and like choke somebody out.
That was a pretty creepy thing watching that as a kid, and it was daytime as well, so I was like, whoa, nah, that's dark. I did not like that. Nah.
Yeah, there's points where even as a child you're like, I do not like this. Yeah. And even now then you see it in certain like, cartoons and shows where you're like, no thank you. Or you even now as an adult you watch it and you're like, I don't think children will enjoy that. Yeah.
I thought that scene was scarier than the evilest villain in it, him. Yeah, I thought that scene was scarier than him.
Him. Are you talking about him's first reveal? Like when you first see the character of him?
Yeah. Because
that's freakish. Because you don't even know what him is, and I get that's the point of his character and his name. He's literally called him. Yeah. Because he's such a terrifying character that not even the narrator will say his name. It's just, oh no, it's him.
Yeah, they always say it like that, yeah.
Which, is interesting. But, I don't think I've ever seen that episode of Powerpuff Girls. I know Powerpuff Girls has a very interesting history because obviously I know Craig McCracken made it. I think he went on to do like Wander Over Yonder and like Two Stupid Dogs and stuff like that. So he's a great creator as well. But Cartoon Network does have a lot of like really off the wall kind of episodes, and I think I'm surprised I haven't heard of that one because I've seen a lot of other people's opinions on dark and creepy episodes, not for this video but just in general. And I've never heard anyone bring that one up before.
Oh, really?
Never.
Oh, wow.
Like, there's ones where I know if you're talking about SpongeBob, you're going to talk about of 3 episodes.
Yeah.
There's ones where it's like, if you're going to talk about, like, I'm trying to think of examples. I can't think of examples, but there's certain shows where it's like, the moment people bring up the puppet show, the Nickelodeon puppet show, Mr. Meaty, I know what episode they're going to talk about.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know what I mean? I know, when you talk about creepy and then you bring up Mr. Meaty, I know which episode you talk about. That really creepy episode. But yeah, I've never heard of that one.
No, I don't remember the name of the episode, but I think it was in the... Well, how many seasons does Powerpuff Girls have? It had 2, right?
Might have been more.
Okay. I think it might have been the 2nd season.
Okay.
Yeah, it was with the newer animation anyway. So, the slightly newer animation.
Okay. Yeah. All right, fair enough. I hit you up with my last one, and definitely kind of another blast of the past. I know the moment I say this name, this podcast is going to get like 1,000 views. But I'm going to talk about the Invader Zim episode, Dark Harvest.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh yeah, I know the episode. Yep, that is dark.
Like, Invader Zim itself is a pretty dark show.
Yeah, it is.
And that episode takes it to a whole nother level. Like, this episode was so dark that people actually thought this was the episode that got Invader Zim cancelled. It wasn't, obviously, because this is a season 1 episode. I think it's episode 4 of season 1, and it went on to do a second season. Why would you not cancel a show there and then, obviously? Yeah. This episode is pretty dark. It's horrifying. It's one of the most horrifying episodes next to the actual Halloween special, which has some pretty horrific scenes in it. But the basic plot of this episode, for most people who don't know what Invader Zim is, the simple premise is an alien from another world has essentially been sent to Earth to conquer it. Yeah. And he's trying to very poorly disguise himself as a normal kid. And meanwhile, you have another kid, Dib, who is a paranormal investigator. Mothman, or was he called Mothman? I forget what his code name was. I think Mothman was one. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked on my Invader Zim lore. But, and you have Dib, who essentially knows that Zim is an alien and is convinced, but obviously because he's like the crazy kid who believes in aliens and paranormal, no one believes him. So the basic setup of this episode is that Zim has to go to the nurse's office to be essentially checked because he has head pigeons. It's like some weird disease, I guess, in their world of Earth where a pigeon just lands on your head and it won't go away. And so Dib basically kind of taunts him by saying, oh yeah, when she looks at you, she'll see that you're not human and, you know, all that. Yeah. So it essentially gets Zim thinking, better start stealing people's organs so I look more human. So he goes on some messed up horror rampage where he essentially starts stealing other people's organs within the school and replacing them with things. Like, not even things that make sense. Yeah. And it's kind of... Invader Zim was very good at doing a very creepy, kind of gross, but always kind of keeping it comedic and somewhat lighthearted. It never got to the point where people's heads were being chopped off or something like that. You know, read Johnny the Homicidal Maniac if you want that. But, yeah, it gets pretty creepy because there are points where it's like you see like the kid and he's basically like... part of his organ's been replaced with like a radiator. Yeah. And then there's one which really kind of like creeped me out where he like replaces like the receptionist's like brain with like a can of soup.
Yeah, I remember. Oh yeah.
And like you place it with a can of soup and then she answers the phone. She somehow picks up the phone, opens it, and then just foam start coming out of her mouth. And I was like, oh, that's really... Yeah. It's funny, but that's a bit messed up. Yeah. And then Dib, he has like these like X-ray goggles and he can like essentially X-ray people and see that, and he sees that everyone has like had organs taken from them. And then you see Zim and he's like this disgusting fat mass of organs. And he's obviously changed, and like you can even like one of the grossest parts is like he like spits out like intestines and just slurps them up like noodles.
It's gross.
And the worst part about it is he doesn't even swallow them. They're still like in his mouth. You can see them just in his mouth still. It's gross. And like it gets to the point where, like, you know, Dib is questioning him. He's like, oh, yes, like, do you have a heart? And he's like, yeah, I've got 6. You know, you got intestines? Yes, small and big and small. You know, and he's like, you got any lungs? And he's like, and he just fucking vanishes. And then it's like, oh, shit. And it gets to the point, I won't spoil the ending, it gets to the point where Zim is essentially chasing down the last person for like lungs. And it's horrifying because he is literally chasing him down like he's gonna kill this person. It is bad. There's some really creepy and unsettling scenes, especially one where the character who he's chasing down is literally hiding in this like dark room. Yeah. And there's a point where like you see like I forget what it is, like something moves and that scares him and he runs out the room. And then as the door opens, you can see the light swing, you can see Zim standing in the shadows, and then the door shuts again and he's gone. And I was like, that's messed up.
Yeah, that is.
It's such a bad episode. Not bad episode. It's such a dark episode.
Yeah, it's just dark, yeah.
It's like, I am shocked that episode even got made. Like there's stuff that's grim and like disgusting and gross in like Invader Zim, but that was straight up dark. Yeah. Like that's a perfect episode to... All of Invader Zim is perfect to watch.
For Halloween,
like, for Halloween, of course. I'm probably going to watch it again this Halloween, but like that episode in particular was like, whoa. Like even when I was watching it as a kid, I was like, yay, yo. Yay, yo, mum, can we change the channel?
Yeah.
Where's the remote?
Didn't Invader Zim come on like late? They had to put it on late, isn't it?
Yes.
At like 9 o'clock.
Once it finished, they started putting on at 9, and I specifically remember staying up till 9 to watch it. Yeah. Because I think it was right after they cancelled it. because the main reason they cancelled it was because Nickelodeon wanted it to appeal to, I believe, 9 to 12-year-olds.
Right.
But it actually appealed more to, I believe, 13 to 16 to 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
So they cancelled it.
Right. Yeah.
Because despite the fact it was a profitable and successful show,
Yeah.
it wasn't reaching a certain demographic, which is retarded.
Okay.
Personally, I don't get that. It's like, why would you turn down money, as I always say? You're still getting a profit of it. Why are you turning it down just because you're getting it from a different kind of person?
Yeah.
Anyway, let me hear your last episode.
Okay, so mine. So my last pick was Elfen Lied, episode 1.
That's the anime, isn't it?
Yeah, the anime. Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially, I'm gonna talk about the very first scene where like Lucy is the main character. She's like tied up. And then because I watched it when I was in year 7, so I was literally told by a friend, watch Elfen Lied and tell me your opinions. I was like, okay, let me watch Elfen Lied. And so essentially it's just about, so Lucy's tied up in like, she has this like metal helmet on and she's like tied up in like this metal thing, I don't know what it is. And like the 2 security guards are just there and they're guarding it. And then like, next thing you know, she kills both of them by just like simply staring at them. And I was like, how is that even possible? I was just like, what the hell? And then like she actually basically frees herself from this underground prison and just basically walks and just kills people by walking past them. And I'm thinking, how is she doing this? It creeped me out. And like I remember there was one bit where like the heart of the guy came out. Ooh. And the heads was just spinning. And there was this one specific scene as well where like one of the I think it was just like an assistant, she's just really clumsy, and like she trips over in front of Lucy, and then literally Lucy just decapitates her, and then uses her body as a shield when they're shooting at her. I just thought, that's dark. I was just like, wow, this sister had nothing to do with it. She was innocent, and then she trips over and she just dies.
Lucy don't care.
Lucy does not care. I was just like, damn.
Because that series is kind of like a slightly more violent version of like Birdie, like the original one.
Oh, I haven't heard of Birdie.
Yeah, Birdie's. I'm not going to spoil Birdie, but it's like Birdie will basically take out anyone, but she's not like killing people. Basically, like almost like an unstoppable like female force to some extent.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the original one mainly. That's what it kind of reminds me of, where she just take people out effortlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know of that series. I only know of like those kinds of scenes. I haven't seen the whole scene or the whole series, but
okay.
Yeah.
I read the manga for Elfen Lied. The anime I watched halfway through it, but then I stopped.
Okay.
But it's funny because I was like, because I wanted to look up how is she walking past these people and they're just like getting their head severed or their heart and then intestines are all coming out. And I actually realized it was actually her abilities of like she has like invisible arms called vectors, and she basically can turn them into blades. So essentially it looks like she's got telekinesis or whatnot, but it's actually the vectors that are slicing people. So then she controls that. So I was like, oh, okay, it all makes sense. But back then I was like, she could just kill someone by staring at them. I was creeped out.
She's coming for me next.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay, it makes sense now. But yeah, back then I was like, yeah, that was creepy watching that, man.
But it's a good starting point as well. It definitely gets the mystery. Like, that's why a lot of animes, usually their first episode is the most violent.
Yeah.
Because it gets you invested, like Dead Man Wonderland's like beginning.
Yeah.
Where it's just like everyone just dies just instantly.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a classroom full of blood, and you're like, oh. Yeah, or if you want to go to an extreme sense, like the first episode of Goblin Slayer.
Oh yeah, I heard about that one. Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched the first episode of Goblin Slayer, 18+, but I'm surprised they showed that like to a live audience before they actually aired on TV. And I remember hearing like, oh, get hyped for Goblin Slayer. Well, guys, if you go to this convention, you're going to see the first episode of Goblin Slayer. And when you watch the first episode, you're like, you showed that to a live panel. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
To some extent. I mean, that's fine. If you want to set up the premise or the threat or whatever, that's fine. If it's managed in a certain way. Obviously, we're using Goblin Slayer, we're using Dead Man Wonderland, we're using Elfen Lied as a good example. Don't be like disgusting or gross about it. If you want like a really shocking beginning. A lot of horror films do that now, where they show like the worst scene first or the jump scare first.
Yeah.
Try and be a bit more pace based. Because your film or your product will be better for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I see too many series where it's like, oh man. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be our discussion. Hopefully you go and watch these episodes. Hopefully you've been introduced to some new episodes of Elfen. Hopefully you're gonna watch Elfenline. Hopefully you're gonna rewatch Invader Zim. You got some SpongeBob episodes to watch this month now as well as that one episode of Powerpuff Girls. I'm now gonna look up. Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do for the next discussion, but it's gonna be spooky, horror-ish themed for the most part. Hopefully, we shall see. But I guess that brings us to the end of the podcast, and we're gonna end the end of the podcast with the video of the episode, which is going to be the appropriate video being Wine's Blood. I think it's Wine's Blood with Every Day. I'm not going to say too much about this music video, but you'll understand why this music video was picked for the video of the episode. Very beautiful song. Wine's Blood is a very beautiful singer. She's still kind of in her early days. She probably has one of the better albums this year.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a really great song. I was surprised when I saw this music video. And I'm sure, especially given how the song sounds, and I'm sure you'll be surprised by the music video when you watch it. I'm not trying to say it's like the most mind-blowing music video of all time, but it's definitely a surprise. Anything you'd like to add before we wrap up this podcast?
No, that's it for me.
All right, then that was the first podcast of October, pretty much taken care of. I have a ton of things I'm watching, a ton of things I will be talking about next podcast, so be ready because my segment of what I've done last week is going to be big. I can guarantee you that. I have several films definitely plan to watch. I'm watching 3 series, which will most likely be finished.
Damn.
All appropriate for October. So a lot of stuff. Even where we're recording right now, technically there's hints as to what I'm watching in this room. So it's a shame we don't do live action because then people go, "Oh my god, is it gonna be that film?"
Yeah.
But I've already left one like hint to what it was at the very beginning. What one of them was at the very beginning, and I'll tell you after. But I guess we wrap this podcast up like we always do by saying, "I was the Angry Raccoon.
I'm the Indigenous Owl.
And we will see you on the next podcast."